2020. This is a special meeting of the Board of Trustees. Oh, 1 second.
Oh, here we go.
Gotta get my flag.
Just keep that in there.
Can we get a volunteer?
Ooh.
Lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready?
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States
of America
and to the
and to
republic
the republic
for which it
which
stands, one nation,
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with
liberty and justice
for all. I can't listen to you when I'm saying that because it messes me up.
Thank you, thank you. This brings us to oral communications. This is a time that the public can make a presentation before the board. We are not at liberty to respond. And so this is your opportunity. Is there anyone who would like to make public comments? Dr. Garcia.
I am scanning. For those of you that have yet to gain familiarity with the Zoom platform, if you click the participants icon, that's the two people standing side by side with the number 16 next to them at the bottom of your screen, and scan over your name, it will give you the ability to raise your hand. Please raise your hand if you would like to make a comment. Raise your hand if you are sure you would like to make a comment. I see no intent from the public, President Green.
All right. We're going to move right along to 4.01. This is a contract for financial advisor with Caldwell, Flores, and Winters. Is this you, Dr. Garcia? Is it Dr. Clark who's going to cue us on this?
We are going to tag team. But yes, we are recommending approval. It is a contract with Caldwell, Flores, and Winters for consultant and financial services, or in particularly municipal advisory services. They don't provide legal, accounting, or tax advice with respect to the issuance of municipal securities. And we still need to retain a separate bond counsel. They don't have any decision-making authority, but they will advise us in the event that we do pass the bond in November. There are some services to establish the GO bond program. There's a $20,000 fee to provide financial consultant services to establish the bond program. And then once we are successful in our bond campaign, then they will provide us with advice on the issuance of municipal securities bonds. There's a separate $50,000 fee for issuance and for the GO bonds. Those are all expenses incurred on behalf shall be reimbursed at the direct cost. The municipal securities bonds can be reimbursed out of the cost of the bond sale. But I believe, and Dr. Clark or Abel, correct me if I'm wrong, the initial $20,000 fee is not reimbursable out of the bond proceeds. Is that correct?
Typically, the pre-election services and post-election services are reimbursable expenses, but I would defer to the district's counsel on that. But typically, it is paid from bond proceeds if and when a bond passes and bonds are issued. If not, the fees are obviously contingent and there's nothing owed to CFW.
Got it. Thank you for that clarification, sir.
Did you want to add more?
Dr. Clark, is Mr. Casnoga here tonight? Doesn't look like it.
I don't see him.
You have anything to add, sir?
Me?
All right.
Yeah.
So can I ask a question about it?
Absolutely.
I am assuming that there's not like a lot of, not a lot of competition, not a lot of things out there, pretty standard contract. But I would love any additional information about that.
Yeah, thank you for asking for that, Trustee Huff. As a matter of fact, we did do some comparing, and indeed the contracted amount is about the average paid in Marin. Give me just a minute here and I'll pull it up for you. What we found was that of all of the GO bonds that were on, that happened in 2019. So for instance, San Rafael City Elementary School went out for a bond May 22nd, 2019. Their financial advisor fee was $74,500. TAM Union went out September 19th, 2019. Their financial advisor fee was $47,500. Novato went out October the 2nd, 2019. Their financial advisor fee was $66,000. San Rafael City High School District went out October 2019. Their financial advisor fee was $63,000. And then San Rafael City Elementary School went out again in October 2019. And their financial advisor fee on that one was $82,564. So we do feel that this contract is about the median for what was recently paid in the county by other school districts for similar services.
Thank you.
So would we owe this fee once the bond passes, or once we issue, if it passes and we issue a series?
I believe, sorry, go ahead, Abel.
Sorry about that. Yes, trustee. So these fees will only be incurred if, in fact, the district issues bonds.
Okay.
So whenever that may be.
Okay.
And is it typical to do a 5-year contract?
It is, if you'll remember, in the bond resolution, there is a time frame in which to sell the bonds, and so it is relatively typical to do a contract of this length.
Thank you.
If we issue half of the bond in the first series, is the full fee payable, or is it prorated based on the amount issued?
No. So as the district's fiduciary, our goal is to try to negotiate the best deal when the district goes out to the market. We do not get paid on a percentage basis, or our fees are basically a flat fee. So whether you sold, $5 million in bonds or 20 million or 50 million in bonds, our fee remains the same, and it's per bond issuances.
Okay. So we would negotiate another contract if it's outside of the 5-year period and we issued another series?
That's right. So we are contemplating that this bond program is a 6-year program. It could be more, it could be less, depending on what happens with assessed valuation growth rates. But at the point of this contract expiring, the district may negotiate a new contract for the same services, because at that point, after 5 years, it would be expired.
Okay. And if we issued, say, 2 series within the 5 years, we would owe this fee for each series?
Yes, and that's it. And then presumably at that point, if we were lucky enough to issue the entire amount in 2 series, then there's no more authorization. So the contract is essentially expired.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions?
I'm going to show my complete ignorance here because I scanned both this contract and the next one we'll be addressing, and I'm very unclear about who communicates to the public on the matter of this bond and why it's a good idea, and who, if anybody puts out a flyer. I mean, I know the district cannot do it, so where does that expense fall?
Thanks for asking that, Trustee Turner. The community needs to form a bond committee, a bond campaign committee, and that bond campaign committee will be the folks responsible for all of the actions that you just outlined.
Right. Okay.
Can board members contribute to the campaign committee? As personally, do you know? Or do we, I know that we can't provide time. I'm just curious.
I doubt it, but
My understanding is in your own personal time, you may be able to do that, for instance, on a weekend, outside of your duties as a trustee. But I will ask bond counsel for a clarification on that, and we'll bring that answer back for you.
Maybe we should bring all the rules related to board members for a bond campaign. Yeah.
I can offer up that schools and college legal services, they put out a legal update and a memo, and they just updated it in 2018, and there's a series of frequently asked questions. I can forward that to Atoko so he can share. We're going to be putting it out anyway because it has just some general political guidelines that trustees and even all employees should follow during any kind of election season, but there's specific questions that relate to bonds.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Tarina. That's helpful. I will definitely share that with the trustees.
Okay.
Other questions? Any intent from the public?
Once again, you need to hit the participants icon at the bottom, find your name, and raise your hand. I see no intent from the public to comment.
I'll move approval of the contract for financial advisor with Caldwell Flores Winters.
I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. That brings us to 4.02. Excuse me. Consider approval of the contract for bond counsel. I believe that this is Dr. Clark.
Hi, thank you. So very similar to what Dr. Garcia was talking about with the fiscal advisor with Caldwell Flores Winters. This is a contract that we're bringing forward and recommending approval for bond counsel with Stradling, Yoka, Carlson, and Ralph. That's David Kaznoka, who spoke at a last couple of board meetings, and I'm sorry he's not here tonight. But it's bond counsel who does a very specific amount kind of work, just like we have an attorney who does special ed. Bond counsels are pretty much, that's what they do. Same thing, very similar to CFW's contract. They only get paid if the bond is successful in November and at the time of issuance. Their first issuance right now, we're talking about 3 series in potentially a bond. The first issuance, $65,000, and then for the subsequent issuances, he reduces to $55,000 for those next 2. And staff's recommending approval.
And so if we only did one additional, it would be one additional 55,000.
But right now, this is planning for 3. In his contract, he's planning for 3. So I don't know if we would end up doing 4. Is that what you're asking?
Well, I was thinking more if we did 2.
Oh, we did 2.
Fewer. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. 1 less. So 65 for the first, 55 for the second.
Okay.
He also has, he also has a like a do's and don'ts, or very similar to what Tarina was just talking about, do's and don'ts of the board and district employees during a bond campaign. And I will ask him to send that as well. So between the 2 documents, we'll have a lot of data to support all of us.
You said he's planning for 3, so the third fee would be 55?
Correct.
Is that what okay.
Right.
Thank you.
And the plan for 3 is strictly from the plan from CFW of doing 3 issuances. If it turns out to be 2, it's 2.
Got it.
So just a side note, something to consider when we're thinking about how many issuances. Each issuance comes with a sizable set of fees.
Yeah, it's
that
like
are reimbursed from the bond funds. Yeah.
It's like closing costs when you buy a house. And I think last I recall, and Trina, you might know this better, last I recall years ago, it's about 1.5% of the par amount. Whatever we issue, it's about 1.5% total.
That's about right.
Okay.
Yep. And the services these folks provide are incredibly important. So.
Yeah.
And I was impressed with our bond counsel. He did a great job.
Yeah. And I've worked with Kaznoka before. He's very thorough. So.
Okay.
Yes.
No other questions for me?
Other comments? Did you have a comment on this one, Deborah? You said you had scanned.
No, it's fascinating what a bond,
Right.
what is entailed in bringing it out, and then how many people make money. Not to mention, the architects, the contractors, everybody. It's a big source of employment for lots of people, and then the kids get something great. Yeah. Yeah.
So true. Other comments before we turn over to the public? Any intent from the public?
Apologies. Robocalling.
I am looking again. Find your name in the participant list. Raise your hand if you wish to comment, and we will recognize you as a speaker. I am scanning, and I see no intent from the public to comment.
All right. Well, this is an action.
Oh, yeah.
I'll move approval of the contract for bond counsel with Stradling, Yaka, Carlson, and Routh.
Second.
Been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So forward on that. All right. We're going to 5.01. This is consider approval of transitional kindergarten teacher. Dr. Garcia.
Yes, it is. I am very excited to recommend approval of this hire. It is our very first homegrown teacher of color pipeline hire.
Woohoo.
She is one of our current great student success coaches. And it is my really great pleasure to recommend approval of the hiring of Miss Quintisha Simpson as our TK teacher for the upcoming school year.
What?
Wow.
And are these, I guess I could speak for all of these, are all of these positions included in our current budget?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they are.
Excellent. That's 501 through 505. Okay, so I don't have to ask it over and over and over.
Oh, go ahead, do your duty.
That was a blanket question.
All right.
And as I read it, it's also contingent on her enrolling in the, I'm trying to remember which, sorry.
You are correct, Trustee Huff. She has conditional acceptance to the Cal State Teach credentialing program, which is one of our credential partners in our pipeline. I actually spent a little bit of time yesterday helping her navigate the final hoops that she needed. So I do believe that she will have a final improvement of enrollment in that program. I had forgotten how hard it is to get into a teacher credentialing program until working with Ms. Simpson yesterday on getting one final transcript of one class that she'd taken at a community college some long time ago, and something from the California Teacher Credentialing Commission, and but I think we got her home yesterday afternoon, so I think we'll be in good shape with her. And the E3, the folks from E3, Juan Carlos Arauz, it was Ilolo Kalika, but they actually just onboarded a new staff member. Her name is Maria Gomez, I believe. Will be helping the other candidates finalize their admission process. And I'm also really excited to say, not to go down too much of a rabbit hole, but there are already 5 other candidates from the community working to enroll in credentialing programs so that they can be eligible for hire in the upcoming school year. Not this school year, but the 21, 22. So our pipeline is working.
Nice.
Fantastic.
When was she now that she got accepted?
Probably no later than Friday. The semester starts, I believe, August the 24th. So everybody needs to finalize their last little bit of documents prior to that date.
Is she filling a current vacant position, or is she an additional TK teacher?
She is filling the current vacant position. If you remember, we had a sort of unexpected retirement over the summer, and that is the position that she's filling.
Okay, thank you.
And initially, she'll be teaching TK online? I can't even imagine.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't want to sort of tip my hand procedurally.
Okay.
I did sign an MOU with the teachers today. Technically, we shouldn't probably talk about the details of it until I get to bring it before you tomorrow.
Okay.
You mean Thursday?
Thursday.
Or Thursday. Yeah, thank you. Sorry. I know it's soon. Our idea is actually that no, it will not be online. It would seem strange to have a first experience with school when you're 4 going on 5
Yeah.
Forget about it.
to be online. So we're going to make every effort to work with our association and follow our Safe Schools protocol. All of this, just to be very, very clear, would be contingent on the approval of a waiver from Dr. Willis to operate in-person school. And so until that waiver is in place, I can make no guarantees about in-person school. However, I was on a call earlier today and with Dr. Willis, and he asked me just to sort of verbally share the details of the waiver that I'm considering filing, and he seemed excited about those details.
Cool. All right.
Great.
Yeah. Awesome.
His exact words were, "That's fantastic."
Well,
Oh, on that. That's great. How many TKs at this point? How many TK students? Do we know?
We are looking at an enrollment of 8 for TK.
And are we capping
No.
it at 8, or
Yeah,
oh, I guess
yeah,
we can't. Yeah.
That's not enough. Oh, that was our plan.
Okay.
We wanted to keep the TK cohorts particularly small, as social distancing is harder when you're little.
Yeah.
And I guess, TK program is special. Is it a capped enrollment, or is it whoever wants to enroll can?
Our plan is to keep it at 8. Again, without revealing too many details of the MOU that you have yet to ratify as a board, if enrollment does uptick, there is some room for us to increase that class size.
Okay. I keep trying to pull it out of you.
In due time.
Thank you.
Other comments? Any intent from the public?
Oh, yes, there is a comment from Yasmin McGrain. Yasmin, thanks for being here tonight.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thanks. Well, first off, I wanted to say that's exciting about Quintisha Simpson, Jenny Schmidt, and Flora Sanchez. So my comments relate to all the teachers, all 5 of the hires, if that's okay at once. So I'm really excited to see people moving up and getting into positions that they're really excited about and can really help us as we unify. I guess my question has to do with just as we hire new teachers outside of the district and yet also balance in parallel unifying the 2 schools. I mean, of course, I know, having been on all these town halls and Zoom meetings, the desire of the district board to gain consensus through both boards and to try and unify by this fall. I do know, obviously, that we haven't been able to get to a vote yet, but the goal was hopefully to get to a vote by the end of this month, if possible, between both boards, I believe. I do also know that you guys, at Bayside MLK, we need to hire teachers. The school's starting, so I get that. And I also really trust the selection process. For the other 2 new teachers, I don't know them, but I definitely trust your process to hire the new 3rd grade teacher, Christine Jones, I believe, and the 6th or 8th grade, Erin Maggery, sorry if I'm saying the name wrong, for math and science. So my question is, since last night, as I'm sure you know, Willow Creek Board did take a vote to recommend for a unification of the pre-K through 8, the entire school by January of 2021. I guess what will happen, because the intention is to obviously retain our teachers across both schools. So for example, 3rd grade and 6th or 8th, if we hire new teachers, and again, I know we need to fill the roles needed for Bayside now. But if by the end of the month, both boards vote to unify, say by January, what's going to happen if there is an overlap or duplication of teachers in those positions? Is the intention still to keep and retain the teachers that are currently in the district? How would you deal with that, basically? Thank you.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of variables that will go into answering your question. I will say that our intent is to retain the teachers that are currently in the district, and assuming that we are operating under current requirements set forth by the public health department, and assuming that COVID-19 does not magically go away by January, it looks like we will need to be operating cohorts of no more than 15 to 1 unless Marin County is off the watch list by January. And so the idea is we'll still need these teachers that we're hiring. And I think we'll look at classroom configurations and assignments to create optimal learning outcomes for all of our students based on the human capital that we have.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that. I mean, I just want to make sure that we're not caught in a pickle when we do unify and everybody feels really good about it. And I'm glad you found 2 new great teachers that want to work in our district. So it's more about how you're going to do that balancing act. And if, because we are in smaller cohorts, we're going to need these teachers, that's great. It's just, we don't want to let go of good teachers because we made a decision now for 2 new ones. So that's it.
Thank you, Yasmin. Any other intent from the public? I'm going to take that as a no. This is an
Sorry,
action
Trustee
item.
Green. Yes, there are no other intent from the public.
Thank you. It's an action item. Approval of transitional kindergarten teacher.
Dr. Garcia, do we need to do this with the condition that she is admitted to a teacher credential program, or to be able to have her on staff? No?
That is correct, yes.
Okay.
Which means it'll be the same for anyone else coming up, so that we know that.
Right.
Well, that's not, is that true? Oh,
Well, some people are sort of already
already.
credentialed.
Right, credentialed. Right.
It
Okay.
is true. It is true for 3 of the 5 candidates, yes.
Okay. So,
All right, this is an action item. Need a motion.
I will move approval, a move that we hire Quintessa Simpson as our transitional kindergarten teacher, pending documentation that she has been admitted to a teacher credential program.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Yay.
All right,
Welcome on board.
welcome.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Brings us to 5.02, consider approval of a kindergarten teacher. Dr. Garcia.
Yes, and not to be remiss in the fact that the district has been working hard to recruit and hire teachers of color prior to my arrival and the start of the Teacher of Color program, and we greatly appreciate Mr. Leishon. This is our second Teacher of Color pipeline candidate, also a former student success coach and longtime district employee, Flora Sanchez. So it is also my great pleasure to recommend her hiring. I can't say enough. I don't know that we would have been able to operate through the pandemic without Quinn and Flora. These are some of the most hardworking women in our district. It's wonderful that we get a fluently bilingual teacher to teach kindergarten in Miss Sanchez. She, even though she hasn't started in her role as teacher, she was hard at work yesterday figuring out still how to do all the LPAC testing and coordination for the district, because that has been her job as a student success coach for years. And I got a little emotional just to see her so matter-of-factly working over the summer when so many people haven't reported back yet. And she was like, hey, I need this. And I was like, okay. And I was like, oh my God, she's really going to try to continue to coordinate all of the ELs while taking on teaching kindergarten. So I'm really excited to recommend her approval, her hiring, recommend that you approve her hiring. She has been an asset to our district for a long time. And I believe she will continue to be an asset to our district for a long time.
for a really long time.
I learned she's a very humble person, and she can at times not overshare her personal life. And I learned more about her in helping her apply to this program and in interviewing her than I knew, working literally side by side with her, elbow to elbow, almost every day since the pandemic shut down. And she has an amazing journey as as an educator, as a learner. And I think she's somebody that is going to be a huge asset to our kids and our families and our community for a long time to come. And I'm just really glad that there's a silver lining to this pandemic. It gave an opportunity for someone like Flora, who's been eligible to apply for a teacher credentialing program for about 8 years. It gave her the opportunity to apply. And I think we're really lucky that she's choosing to continue her career path with us.
Yeah, it's a familiar space for her too.
I'll say. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Well, thank you, Dr. Garcia, for all your encouragement and assistance to these important people in our schools to help them continue on their career path. To me, that's one of the key ingredients of a successful superintendent is employee staff satisfaction, job security, and growth. And so thank you for helping make this happen.
Thank you. Yeah, my pleasure. I think sometimes all people need is a little encouragement, a little helping hand, and I think there's a lot of brilliant educators in our midst that we often miss. And so, thank you for supporting the TLC program. We would really not have gotten there without the support of Marin Promise and coordinating that program, without the support of the trustees and without the support of E3 and helping people apply. This is really a team effort to get a lot of these folks on board.
Well, thank you to all of them as well. Absolutely.
And I also am appreciative of these teachers who are also taking on the classroom, all that additional work that's going to be involved in getting a credential. And I know that that's a lot, and I really admire them for taking a step in that next professional, in their professional journey. I'm just delighted that we're being able to provide more teachers who look like our kids.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Yeah, it is a tall order.
Mm-hmm.
To, do your day-to-day and work on your credential.
Exactly.
Yeah. So remind me, because I don't know if there's been some teacher shifts between the grades. Is this similar to TK? Is it a vacant position, or are we adding to our staff for K? Or
similarly, we wanted to staff a lower cohort at K, and so this is actually either the person that retired was a TK/K teacher last year. So I'm not sure exactly how to, if you want to think of it as a replacement or
replacement at half.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And with our K enrollment potentially increasing, this makes sense. And I guess to Yasmin's question, which I thought was a good one, that if we, through unification, if we do have, say, 20 children in our kindergarten program and we want to go to a 15-to-1, then obviously there's room for certainly Willow Creek's teachers, just using kindergarten as an example, plus potentially another new hire. Right, because if we're going to go 15-to-1 and they got 25 for each class and we've got 20, I mean, we're going to need somebody else.
Absolutely. I think in particular in the lower grades, this is where we're really going to want to focus on maintaining smaller class sizes.
Yeah.
Even if we get off the watch list and we can go with the county's more relaxed standards, I'm hearing from a lot of parents and teachers that they would feel a lot more comfortable still with smaller class sizes. There are some limits on class size in the MOU we just signed. There is also a provision that we can reopen upon unification. So many moving parts for that hypothetical. But I actually think this. I would invite the community to look at this as being supportive of unification and providing us the class size flexibility to operate in-person schools safely, even in a unified fashion.
with teacher retention of both
Yeah.
schools. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Wonderful.
Questions?
Other comments? All right. Any intent from the public?
I see no intent from the public.
I will move. Is that all right?
Please.
I would like to move that we hire kindergarten teacher, current student success coach, and a longtime face to our children and our community, Flora Sanchez.
I think that's conditional on her admission to a certificate program. Yeah.
Yes.
She is also very
Yes.
close, and I will be pushing her over the top like I did with Miss Quinn yesterday and the next day or so.
Great.
All right.
All right. I'll second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think I beat Bonnie to the second. I saw her.
That's good.
Steve gets to pick.
Brings us to 5.03. This is consider approval of a first, second grade teacher hire. Dr. Garcia, you're on a roll here. Here we go.
Yes, indeed. I am also recommending approval. The district would like to hire Jenny Smith, a 10-year of experience teaching in our community. I believe strongly it is incumbent upon us to retain high-quality teachers in our district that want to remain in our district. And Jenny is a known commodity to many people in the community, as well as many of you as trustees. And so we are recommending hiring. You hear from her regularly at board meetings, so she's no stranger.
Yes.
Like, and I know this is, personnel issues and conversations and so forth can be confidential. But I know that there was some community concern around, I think there was some concern that the district recruited Jenny Schmid from Willow Creek or had some option to not hire her. And correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that is not what occurred. And my understanding of HR law is that if you have an opening, people apply and they're qualified, not hiring them on the grounds of where they're currently employed is not permitted, and that we could get in some hot water if that's if we were to do that. And so it's not something regularly done by a district to not hire a teacher because of where she's coming from. Is that correct?
That is indeed correct.
Okay.
Can I just suggest it? I mean, I assume that Dr. Garcia, you would be happy, if you haven't already had time to do this, which you very well may not have, to help Willow Creek in replacing Ms. Schmidt. And that I hope that we will do that, reach out with the pipeline and whatever else to make sure that her position as it is needed is filled at Willow Creek.
I
True?
would absolutely be happy to help them find a replacement candidate. We definitely have been, both Principal Fanan and I have been reaching out to Ms. Cox, and we will continue to do so.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine that, when these positions came up, that it was competitive. So I would think that, multiple people applied.
I don't have the exact numbers for you of the number of people that we interviewed, but I do know that we had over 57 applications for 5 positions, and that Principal Fanan and I, along with the team of teacher leaders, conducted 13 mini interviews and 8 follow-ups for the positions that we filled. There is a board communication from Ms. Schmidt that is on the regular board agenda, which sort of outlines the process from her own perspective and her own words. I do feel that we adhered to all HR and labor code practices, and we also did not. Well, I'll just leave it at that. I also much prefer to talk about positions and not people, just as a general rule.
Well, and I certainly feel that if someone who we value in our schools is looking for a position, that it's our hope to retain her within the district rather than lose her. So, or him or whomever. So I'm glad we could find a place for Jenny.
Those are my feelings exactly. In keeping with the idea of talking about positions and not people, I will just say that and speak for myself that in my own career as
Oh, you froze up, Dr. Garcia.
Oh, I hope he didn't freeze on us.
Come back. Come back.
So, David, I see you're on the platform. Is there a reason why this is a combination, first, second?
Yes. Hi there. Good evening, everybody. So same reason that we are proposing a new kindergarten is to keep the class sizes at what we were aiming at was 12 or under. We needed to create a 1-2 and a 3-4. And then, of course, we were always going to have a 7-8 because we only have 2 gen ed 8th graders and 1 special day class 8th grader. But in order to optimize finances and not just be hiring single grade teachers with very, very small class sizes, we put the formula together so that and the result of that was that we needed a 1-2.
Thank you for clarifying that. So, folks, Itoko is coming back on the platform. He realizes that he got frozen. Are there other board comments?
I'll just also say I did attend the Willow Creek board meeting last night, and they had circulated a personnel memo, which by email to the members of the board, but I don't see it on their website and it hadn't been shared otherwise. But my impression was that they have found a substitute teacher who for that position.
Great.
Good.
It was somebody that they know, so which is great.
Oh, excellent.
I'm not positive. Others may have more information, but that's what I was trying to glean from the board meeting.
Great. Well, and I just want to remind everybody this happened pretty quickly. So, while it's a part of painting the district in a bad light, I don't think we can really be accused of negligence in terms of offering help if help was needed. So, yeah.
But I do feel for Willow Creek, and the loss of a teacher is never fun.
So,
Yeah.
And a teacher as wonderful as Jenny Smith. I'm sure everybody is totally
Yes.
welcome.
yeah.
Yes.
Although she may end up adding to the length of our board meetings. That's a joke.
Only for Lucky.
Jenny's here to defend herself.
I see. She's
Let's not wish that on anybody, please.
Yeah.
Too many meetings. Doesn't look like he's back.
not yet.
Steve, I need to revert to you. Is there anyone on this platform that would like to make a comment? And please keep in mind, we are timing.
I see Yasmin has her hand up.
Yeah, if she does, I'll go ahead and go ahead.
All right, Yasmin,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
we can. And
Yes. So I'm sorry, Ida, but I did want to speak about Jenny just because I have known Jenny since we joined Willow Creek. My son Finnegan was actually she was his kindergarten teacher, and he's now going in 8th grade. So we go a long way back too. And she is a huge asset to our district. You know, in kindergarten that year, there was a lottery situation. Caroline actually may remember. So we had an extra large kindergarten class. And so I spent a lot of time with her as well as other parents in the class and helping. And since then through now, she is just fantastic. She's hugely creative. She's a master at project-based learning. She always puts kids first. She's really collaborative with other teachers. She works well with leadership. So to your point, Caroline, you know, I do know Willow Creek is pretty saddened and upset about it because it's, you know, right before school starting. But I just wanted to say how fantastic it is that she can really help with Bayside MLK and hopefully very soon, hopefully by January, unification of all kids. So I did want to mention one quick thing, just so people who don't know Jenny. I was recently with our family at an event at Rocky Grand Park in Golden Gate Village, and she came with her daughter and was standing up by the cars. And before she barely got out of her car, 2 little African-American boys ran up the stairs, ran up to her and gave her the huge hug. I swear I thought she was going to fall over. And then one of them, and I was watching down by the at the other end of the park, and grabbed her hand and pulled her literally down the steps. You could barely grab the handrail not to fall, all the way through the park to meet some of his grandparents and then parents, like everybody he was with, and wanted to introduce Jenny to everybody. So and she stayed there for most of the time. And I watched the whole thing and I thought she is what unification is all about as a teacher. So, and I also wanted to say I'm extremely excited about Quintisha and Flora. Sounds fantastic. I've met them both briefly. I'd love to meet them more. I think this is all going in the right direction. So I know Willow Creek is upset, but I'm hoping we move to unification and everybody will feel good about it in the end. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve.
Oh, there he's back. He's back.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hear you.
We finished the agenda. We're done.
We're done. We move to adjourn.
Any other intent from the public?
I do not see. Oh, I apologize. I want to recognize Jenny Smith.
Ha! Here she goes.
So thanks.
Hi, you.
I'm really, I'm very excited about this change. I'm losing a lot in an amazing staff at Willow Creek, and I am so thrilled to think about I've known Quintisha the whole time she's worked at Willow Creek, and I've known Flora since I worked at Bayside 10 years ago. And I've seen Flora, you know, I don't know what she does behind the scenes, but I'm really excited to think about the possibility of helping those ladies on board and giving them sort of like an on-ramp. I just looked at the agenda tonight and was like, oh, this is going to be so cool. I've never bits and mentored anybody, but even just the day-to-day part of doing the homework staying, I just look forward to supporting and working with them as they kind of come into themselves. So thanks for the opportunity to be part of something really cool.
Thank you.
For joining us.
Anyone else?
Woo-hoo.
I do not see any other raised hands.
All right, this is an action item. Board. This is the action item, and staff is recommending approval.
I move that we approve the hire of first, second grade teacher Jenny Schmidt, with no conditions.
I'll second.
Was that a second?
Yes, I'll
Caroline?
second. Yes.
All right. It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, Ms. Smith, welcome.
Welcome
Welcome.
back.
Brings us to 5.04. This is consider approval of third grade teacher hire with conditions. Dr. Garcia.
Yes, once again, I am recommending for hire Ms. Christine Jones as a third grade teacher. Ms. Jones actually comes to us with over 8 years of experience as a teacher and a principal. She also does need to complete her enrollment in a credentialing program. So we're working with her to complete that as a condition of her hiring. But she's definitely been affiliated with the Marin City community for a long time. She was one of the first Freedom School directors. She's a veteran educator, a little bit of a different pathway than our other two conditional hires. But I think she'll be a great asset to our teaching staff, as she's well known to the community, many students and families, and has significant experience running her own schools and teaching in private schools.
Great. Wow.
Yes, I was excited to see this on the agenda because Chris is known here in the community. She's a dedicated, hardworking young lady. So,
Fantastic.
And as my other questions, so how does she fit into our current plan?
Well, she is in the budget. She's not an addition. There were actually due to our staffing ratio and the retirement that we received, it created actually 2 kinder openings and a TK opening. So the teacher that we had teaching third grade last year had taught kindergarten for a long time before that. So she's moving back down to kinder, which creates this third grade opening. And so again, this is not an additional hire, already budgeted.
Filling a vacant position. Okay.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
other comments? Any intent from the public? I take that as a no.
I am seeing none. And I also failed to mention this is another product of our Teacher of Color pipeline. And so we're just really excited that we're able to hire 3 women of color for teaching positions in the upcoming school year. And just like that, we quadrupled the diversity of our staff.
No doubt. I don't think I've heard that in the many years that I've been in this district. 3 women of color.
Wow. It's pretty great.
All right.
I'll move approval of the hiring of a 3rd grade teacher, Christine Jones,
Second.
pending her
Okay.
documentation of acceptance in the credentialing program.
All right. So she moved, and Deborah, did I hear you second?
Yeah, but I was ahead of myself. But yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. This is a feel-good kind of night. Bring it on personnel. 5.05. Consider approval of the 6th to 8th grade math and science teacher. Yes, sir.
Yes. We also are excited to recommend approval of Erin McGarry as a 6th to 8th grade math and science teacher. She has 3 years of experience as an elementary and middle school teacher. She has both a multi-subject credential and single subject authorizations in math and science.
Wow. How'd you find her? Oh my.
Yeah. She's a unicorn.
She applied. She was one of the folks that applied, and we sort of did a 15-minute get to know you mini interview with all of the candidates that we had paper screened, and then invited folks back for a second longer interview when we felt they had some qualities that we wanted to know more about. And Ms. McGarry brings really a wealth of knowledge in project-based learning, in many of the distance learning platforms that we're already working with. To anticipate your question, Caroline, it's not an additional hire. What we did do was work with the teacher that had been in the position prior to fill a 5th grade vacancy that we had, so that we could hire Miss McGarry for this position. And we're really excited to bring her aboard. She's a younger teacher. She grew up in the Greater Bay Area. She's from Solano County. And I think that she will add a lot to our school community, and a lot to math and science instruction in the district.
Did you say that she had experience in middle school?
Yes, she taught at White Hill for the last couple of years.
Does she have experience teaching in high diverse schools?
She does. She also taught in Novato, I think, and then spent time not as a teacher of record, but in as a classroom para prior, actually some significant years prior to getting her teacher credential in Solano County and in some diverse districts. So we think she'll be a good fit, and we think that she will form a good professional learning community with Mr. Leishon.
Excellent.
Yeah, great. And you said she had online learning experience too. Wow, that's great. Okay.
Yeah, if you're bringing her before us, it obviously means that you feel she's a good fit. So.
Yeah, I think we're excited about her as a candidate. I think she'll do great things, and really, she's like someone who's like contagiously enthusiastic about math and science, and has some really wonderful lessons and units that are project-based focused, that she will gladly walk anybody through who wants to listen.
I'm game. Want to see one of her first experiments, because when you capture the kids, you know you're good. Other comments?
Yeah, just to be more specific, she taught in Fairfield as well.
Oh, okay, great.
So definitely, the diverse experience was perhaps an initial concern, and as we got to know and understand her better, we felt like she was going to be a really good fit for our community.
Great.
So at some point, will we see faces behind these names?
Yes, very soon. I think that we'll need to start doing sort of a new hire meet and greet orientation when we can get back to actually having in-person celebrations. But I think maybe we'll invite all of our new hires to an upcoming board meeting so that they can, so you all can get to know them a little bit, at least virtually.
Great.
Yeah, have them at the top of the meeting, because they will not be happy at midnight, still hanging out, waiting to be. Thank you, Dr. Garcia.
We'll learn to appreciate the administrators and staff.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, you guys have done a lot of good work, hard work. Thank you so much. Other board comments? Intent from the public. You didn't freeze on us again, did you, Dr. Garcia?
No, sorry. I see no intent from the public.
All right, board recommends approval. This is an action item.
I move approval of the hiring of Erin Megri as the 6th to 8th grade math and science teacher.
I'll
No
second.
conditions. Yeah.
It's been moved in second. All in favor? Aye. Well, we thank you so much for all that we've gone through so far. What? You got to be kidding me.
No way. I have to sit down.
You're getting too good at this.
Here we are at 6.01. Adjournment.
Wait, are you sure? Okay.
Can we get a motion?
I'll move we adjourn.
I'll second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Deuces, folks. Have a good evening.
See
Good
everyone
night.
tomorrow. Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Night.